My name's Caroline and I work here at Derby Theatre. I'd like to show you behind the scenes and into the rehearsals so that you can see how the Little Mermaid was all put together. When we're putting a show together, we have to start in the rehearsal room.
Wouldn't reach the air above. It's
deep.
So the actors are not wearing costumes, they haven't got the set yet, but they've all come together with the director to practice their moves, the songs, and of course, to learn their lines.
It's a beautiful adaptation. It's fast-paced, it's fun.
It makes children realise what life is about.
Now they do this for about 3 weeks before we actually get into the theatre itself. So before we even get into rehearsals, we have to think about how the show is going to look and sound. And we work with people called creatives who help us think about the music, the lighting and the scenery.
Hello, so my name's Sarah and I'm the director of The Little Mermaid. So my job basically is being in charge of everything. So I help the actors decide how they should be on stage. I help the designer decide what the set should look like. And I kind of, basically oversee all of it, talk to the composer and everybody. They call it very grandly the artistic vision, but it's basically just being in charge. So I became a director. I started off when I was very young. I went to a youth theatre. And I wanted to be an actor, and I was for a little while. So I was an actor on stages and stuff. And then I thought, the bit I really like is the bit in the rehearsal room, where I'm with the actors and we're kind of coming up with the ideas and going, how do we make the princess when we haven't got another actor to play the princess? Or how should we do the sea witch? And so I decided that I wanted to be a director. And so I started off by directing young people in youth theatre. So I became the teacher. And then eventually I ended up being the director. The thing I enjoy most about my job is that it's different every single day. So some days I'm with someone with a sea witch puppet thinking, what kind of voice would a sea witch have? Which is pretty cool. And then other days I'm talking to a designer and saying, how do we make an underwater wonderland? So every single day is different. And that's the thing I like the most about my job.
So hello, my name's Mike Kenny, and I'm a playwright. And I did the version of The Little Mermaid that we're doing at Derby this Christmas. My job on The Little Mermaid involved reading the story. In fact, I've got the story here in this very big book of stories. Hans Christian Andersen wrote a lot of stories, and he was a wonderful writer. But I've turned it into a play that can be done by just two people. There are a lot of characters in this play, but we just tell the story with two people. I sort of became a writer by accident almost, and it was, funnily enough, it was sort of in Derby that it happened. The person who was the director of the theatre at that time asked me to write this play. I was an actor and I was going to be in a Christmas play at Derby, but she said, look, you can do this sort of thing. I had no idea that I could do it, but she entrusted me with writing a play. So I kind of stumbled into it. And as time went on, I ended up doing more writing than acting. And eventually I became a writer, a playwright. Yeah. I enjoy almost everything about my job, It's incredibly varied. I get to sit in rehearsal rooms and watch actors doing their job. I watch designers doing their job. And it's like, everybody will tell you who works in the theatre, it's like being asked to play. It's like, if you want to stay a child for a long time, go into the theatre. If people fancy taking up being a playwright, I'd advise you to just do it.
So my name is Ivan Stott, and I am the composer and sound designer on The Little Mermaid, which means that I've written and recorded all of the music that you hear in the show, and I've put together all the sound effects that help to tell the story, all sort of weird and wonderful noises that happen under the ocean. So my role involves working very closely with the director and the designer initially to really sort of understand what the play's about, and to think very carefully about the story and what happens in the story, and which bits of the story would really be brilliant to have some music with. I became a composer and sound designer many years ago. It's something I've been doing for a long, long time. I actually started out working as an actor, and I thought I wanted to be an actor, just an actor, because I was passionate about theatre and performing and acting. But I'd always played instruments. I'd learned to play the violin as a child, and then when I was slightly older, in my teens, I kind of wanted to be in a band. For a while, I had dreams of being a pop star. So I taught myself to play the guitar and the bass guitar, and me and some friends got together and we formed a band, and we thought we were the coolest thing ever. However, that didn't happen, but it's kind of sparked a love for music for me. And I learned to play then several other instruments. I just kind of picked them up and practice, and until I kind of started to get a tune out of things. And eventually music started to take over my life a little bit. And one day, a theatre company who I'd been working for as an actor asked me if I would be interested in writing some songs for a show. So I wrote some songs for a show. It went really well. And I kind of went, this is good. I like this. I'm going to do more of this. So I started doing more of that. And now it's got to a point where sometimes I work as an actor still, an actor musician, and sometimes I work just as a composer and sound designer.
Hi, I'm Jamie Vella, and I'm the lighting designer for Little Mermaid. I became a designer by getting involved when I was at school. I started lighting all the GCSE exams and all of the A-level exams. As soon as I started at high school, basically, I just sort of fell that direction just because I thought I was interested, basically. I continued that after I left school. I went to college in Nottingham to learn about technical events. And while I was doing that, I was sort of getting involved with little tours and Amdram stuff and dance shows and all sorts of basically whatever I could get involved with. My involvement with Little Mermaid sort of starts with reading the script, and then you go through and you have to interpret set drawings, so you have to communicate with the set designer, you have to talk with the sound team and work out what they're going to do, and you have to work out how that's all going to go together. So if there's any special effects, we have to work out if there's going to be lightning, for example, which you'll see in the show. We have to make sure that that all ties in with the lighting and the sound and any other effects that are going on. Any advice I'd have for people interested in doing this is any opportunities you get, just say yes, whatever it is, whether it's even related. It doesn't have to be, specifically what you want to do. It could be nearly what you want to do, or just involved, or just being around. Just say yes, because you never know quite what it could lead to, and that's the cool part. Always say yes. I live by that, and it makes me very busy, but it really is worth it.
Hi. My name's Ali Allen, and I'm the set and costume designer for Little Mermaid. So my role with this show is to design the set, which means that I've got to come up with ideas and create a whole sort of it's like creating a little world on stage for the actors to act in and on and around.
So the person who's designing the set, which is all the things you see on the stage, makes a special model box, a beautiful little version of what you see in real life, but made in miniature. In this case, we are under the sea. So now we're standing in our workshop. All of the things that you've seen on the stage have to be made, and this is the space where they're made. You can see people whose job it is to build the set, and then they also have to paint all the scenery. So it's not just acting that you can do as a job in theatre, there's loads of other stuff you can get involved in too. And you have to be good at maths and building things and visualising things in your mind. I'm here to show you a special backstage insight into our rehearsal of The Little Mermaid. They're just preparing to do a run through. They've rehearsed everything, and here we are on the set with all the lighting, and you might even be able to hear some of the sounds going on in the background too. Now, the technical rehearsal is more for the people that work backstage, the technicians, the lighting people, the sound people, than it is for the actors. They've got to go through everything bit by bit to make sure it's all working properly. As well as the scenery and the things that you see on the stage, we need to make sure that we've got props ready for the actors to use.
So what I've got here is these are the props that the cast use on stage. So we've got different items. So this is Little Mermaid doll, and they're made to look like the actresses on stage. So it's a little version of them that they can play with. This is a little hair clip that the characters wear when they become the characters in the show. So the actress would then put this on when she plays the Little Mermaid.
And this is Amy. She's helped to make all of the costumes for our show.
These are for when they're playing the princess as the storytellers. So they've got on the beach, they put these on the stage, which is why they're kept up here rather than in the dressing rooms. And then,
so they've got to get in them quickly?
Yes, so they've got 2 big hoppers on the front so that it's nice and easy for them to do it themselves on stage.
Beautiful.
And then here we've got the cast that have just been practicing jacket. So this is when they're prince and then mermaid tail. She's got a mermaid tail.
Oh, look at that. That's really sparkly. How long did it take to make that?
I'd say the two of these was probably about a week together.
Wow.
And then loads of time spent on the detailing of it. So once it's been put together, adding all the sparkles and things, which is a nice fun afternoon. So can't really complain.
Good job. So we're now standing in the auditorium where the audience usually sit. But today, because this is a technical rehearsal, our technicians and our director have come to sit down in the auditorium itself so that they can see and hear and make sure that everything is working properly. Now, a technical rehearsal makes sure that every single time the lights change or there's a sound cue or the scenery changes, that everybody that does that is really rehearsed and practiced. So this rehearsal is really more for the technicians than it is for the actors. So here we are at the sound desk. Now, during the show, we can hear sound effects, music, and the actors are also wearing special tiny little microphones. So the sound operator who sits here needs to make sure that all of this happens at the right time and at the right volume. The thing about a technical rehearsal is because you're always stopping and starting, sometimes you have to do a lot of waiting around. So we're standing now at the side of the stage and slightly above it, and you might be able to see some of the lanterns that we've got rigged up here that are pointing to the actors on the stage. So we're standing now on the bridge, which is right above the stage. I love it standing up here because you can look down and look over the actors' heads as they're performing. And you can also see lots more lights rigged up here, all of them focused in different places across the stage. We're standing now on the fly floor, which is about 7 metres above the stage, and this is where all of the bits of scenery that fly in from above are held up in the fly tower, and then they use the ropes and then lower it down onto the set. So sometimes the actors have to practice technical things themselves. In this case, you can see them moving the ship around. So here we have the actors' dressing room. This is where they get changed into their costumes, but also prepare themselves to get ready for the audience. They might go through their lines, do some vocal warm-ups, and make sure that they're really relaxed, ready to go on. So once the technical rehearsal is finished, we do what's called a dress rehearsal. We have to do the whole show right through from beginning to end without stopping this time. We might do 2 of those before we invite our audience to watch the actual show itself. But don't forget, we need lots of other people to make this show happen. Not only the people backstage and the actors on the stage, but also the people who work front of house, checking your tickets, selling you drinks at the bar, and even cleaning the theatre. See how many other jobs you can think of that we might need to make our theatre run really brilliantly.